The roundtable, of course, with longtime WPTV political analyst Brian Crowley. What's top of mind, sir?
Well, right now, what's top of mind, of course, is the after effects of the hurricane. And, I'm not going to get into all the rescue efforts and everything that have been going on the last couple of days. But as the political guy, I'm going to wonder out loud, will this have any impact on the election in the states and in the areas in those states that have been hard hit? Will voters be able to go to the polls? Will voters be interested in going to the polls as they go through weeks of recovery? If you've lost your home, you're probably not thinking very much about voting in November. So it would be interesting to see whether or not there's any kind of potential impact in Florida, Georgia, North Carolina, the other states, Tennessee, on turnout in the areas that have been hit hard. And if elected officials become concerned that there might be, what actions might they take, especially in states where it's close, like Georgia, to help bring voters to the polls?
And of course, as you indicated at the outset, our thoughts and prayers to all of the victims of Helene, and we'll keep an eye on all aspects of that story. Starting to move, well, October's on our doorstep, so we're down to it, and voting in some places around the country started. And your thoughts, Brian, is kind of walk us through the next month.
Well, I think that that a good percentage of the voters have already made up their mind on both sides. I think that the folks in the middle who are leaning one way or the other are rapidly starting to make up their mind. I think it's going to be really important that Kamala Harris and Donald Trump don't make any huge mistakes in the few weeks that we have left. I think it also is important that Kamala Harris spends a little more time out there. So
too
talking to
cocooned,
voters
you think?
And everything. I'm sorry?
Too cocooned?
A little bit. There's a lot of national media complaint, oh my God, she's not taking questions from the media. Well, she is taking a lot of questions. I apologize that she's only taking it from local media for the most part, but it's still media. And
thank you for that.
And of course, the other thing we got to look forward to is the vice presidential debate on Tuesday.
Yeah.
I have a feeling that's going to be fascinating.
Fascinating, but historically the argument is it doesn't matter to all the voters. Do you agree with the common wisdom in this case?
Generally I do, but 2024 is a very different election year than most others. If for no other reason, social media continues to have a huge impact on what people see and hear and do. So whatever happens during the vice presidential debate could have a big impact on social media, which can influence voters. It'll be very interesting to see how Tim Walz kinds of presents this, great uncle kind of thing that shows up at Thanksgiving and he's just the happy guy. J.D. Vance kind of presents this, I'm the smartest guy in the room, and I'm going to lecture you on how things ought to be. And so they're two very, very different personalities. It'll be interesting to see how they play against each other.
What are you hearing, if you're hearing a lot yet, about people who say election day, and of course early voting is tied into that, but a lot of people, and I'm wondering if you're hearing about people say it's from election day to inauguration day that our concerns are about all the legal armadas that will be arrayed potentially on both sides, and about other concerns about how smoothly post-election to inauguration goes in terms of the temperament and tone in the country.
Well, I think at about 5 minutes after midnight on November 5th, we'll start seeing the lawsuits being filed. This election is not going to be over. It may not even be over in November. There's going to be a lot of lawsuits filed. I think on both sides. I think whoever loses, particularly if it's really close, there'll be lawsuits filed. I think in Donald Trump's case, if for some strange reason it wasn't close, he'd still file lawsuits. This idea that has been convinced a lot of people that our elections are stolen, it's not true, but unfortunately there's a sizable number of people out there that believe that, and that creates a very difficult atmosphere for the 2024 election.
I bet you're asked this all the time when you're out and about. People say, Brian, how do I make sense of this? We've only got a little time left, but what's sort of your response to people say, just trying to get my bearings is almost impossible with all that's going on?
Well, I think the first thing you have to do is get off social media for a little while. Do some research if you have any questions about the issues that matter the most to you, and think about the kind of leadership you want in the years ahead. Do you want leadership with a lot of drama? Do you want leadership with a little less drama? you know, ultimately, whether it's your local school board person or the President of the United States and everything in between, they don't appoint themselves to office. It's on the voters, and it's up to the voters to do a good job before they vote.
Words of wisdom, as always, from somebody with excellent perspective over a long, long time of covering politics here and around the country. Back in a moment.